What's up, everyone? How's it going? Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Um, I have not done live streams a whole bunch, and I am also kind of new to the whole restream thing. I just started using restream, so we are going to try this out, see how it works, and hopefully everything comes through okay. Cool. All right. So today I kind of want to chat about the video that I posted on Wednesday, talk about sockets, kind of just go through a sample project, show you all how to set up a VR project and get all that up and running and going and whatnot. So definitely ask me some questions in the chat and whatnot because I want to just have some back and forth, answer your specific questions that I can't necessarily answer when I'm doing a tutorial for lots and lots of people. So also have to post in the Discord. All right. All right, sockets. Yes. So I'm going to swap over and share my screen, and then we can go ahead and start. Let's see, I'm not getting chat messages over here. I'll have to read them over there. All right. So let's share my screen, and then we can kind of go through a default project setup. So this is a basic 3D Unity project. It doesn't have anything installed in it yet. We are using 2021.2, and then I think there's actually a newer version. There's like a 0.7 or something instead of 0.6. So um, the but 2021.2 ish should work for this particular setup. So first things first, when you're starting a project, is we want to go to a window, and then we want to actually, goodness, what am I doing? Edit project settings, and then I usually just dock the project settings to the scene view if I can get it over there. Come on, there we go. And then all the way down on the bottom, XR plugin management. We want to install that. What's up, Matt? What's up, Michael? Misato? Is that how you pronounce Misato? Chris, what's up? Merry Christmas from Ireland. Very nice. Cool. All right. So XR plugin management got installed. And so I usually will do, so there's two different ways you can do things usually here is you can do it in Oculus, which is, obviously just standalone for Oculus. But you can also do OpenXR. And OpenXR is like the recommended one for PC kind of VR devices. So if you're going to run anything off of PC, highly recommend doing OpenXR. But for the time being, since the Quest 2 is the most popular Android headset right now, I usually will run a Oculus specific build for Android devices because I think there's like one or two like headsets out right now that are trying to compete with like the standalone. And also installing OpenXR will install the new input system. So you'll have to say yes, and it'll restart Unity for you. See, long-term support. Yes, if you want to build a game and you are not really comfortable with how Unity is continuously updating things and wants to always swap things around, especially with like all the XR stuff going around in here, I highly recommend you stick with a long-term support version. So 2020 long-term support or even 2019 long-term support. Yeah. So if you're like learning how to do VR, then stick with the latest version. So we can open up the Unity Hub here, go to installs, and then so I generally like to keep one version of each. So 2019, a 2020 version, and then a 2021 version. And I usually just keep the latest of each of these in my installs And then, but if you're like building a project that you're going to release in the next like year or two ish, then definitely do long term support. So long term support, basically all that means is Unity is going to support it for 2 years and not change anything off of it for 2 years. So as long as you keep using this, then Unity is going to support it. So um, yeah, for VR projects, so yeah, definitely long-term support. Like, so if you're going to release something to itch or to Steam or whatever, just use a long-term support version. But if you're learning VR and want to, like, learn the newest tools and the best way to do things, then stick with the newest one. So um, just hit add, and then yeah, there's a 2021.2.7 that I'll probably update to after this live stream. So the big number is obviously the year or the version number. The two is basically like the big kind of update patches kind of versions, and then the 7F1 is like bug support and that kind of stuff. So they'll continuously update this smaller number usually because like it's bug fixing and that kind of stuff. But the two and then the bigger number never really change. And then I also highly recommend having Android build support installed on your computer, and then either Windows or Linux or Mac or whatever operating system you have also installed for each of your Unity builds. So all you have to do is go to Add Modules, and then Android build support is up here at the top because it's an A, and then make sure you have the little like sub ones also installed because sometimes these aren't checked by default. Some people have run into issues with that. It's a 2 gigabyte download, so it's kind of hefty. And then Windows build support for me in particular because I run off of a PC. And then you could do Mac build support or Linux build support if you want to build for those particular platforms. All right, where were we? All right, setting up a project. We just installed OpenXR. So we installed the plugin and then we installed OpenXR. And then now we want to click on this little warning symbol here, and it'll pop up, and you may have multiple things in here you need to fix. In this case, it just wants us to jump over from XR plugin management to OpenXR to add in a couple profiles. So use whatever profiles for controllers of devices that you want to actually put inside of your game. So usually Oculus Touch, Valve Index, HTC are the kind of go-to ones. On XR movement video, the script using XR rig doesn't work with XR origin. Ah, yes. So for all the all the stuff that you had been coding before the XR origin came out, which was in the most recent update, which we'll kind of get to. Um, there's some differences between XR rig and XR origin. There's different properties and whatnot. So you'll have to go in and swap anything that uses an XR rig class over to an XR origin class. And you may need to update some of the methods as well too. They've renamed some things and whatnot. But you can pretty safely go through and just kind of swap everything over from XR rig to XR origin, and it shouldn't really break anything. But just know if you update to the latest version of the interaction toolkit, so that's the XR rig and the XR origin and all that, all lives on the interaction toolkit. Let's see. Let's continue setting up, and then I can actually visually show that kind of stuff. So for the PC, so in the PC tab, so these tabs correspond with what you have downloaded. This is just like a server kind of thing. This is also a new tab. So for PC builds, I like to have the XR plugin management, OpenXR, and then for Android builds, so we're in the XR plugin management tab, I usually check Oculus, and then I'll build for Oculus specifically for Android. There's a private XR rig, but the XR origin shows an error. Huh. Um, have you asked in the Discord? So we have some like really good people in the Discord who are pretty helpful. And you can like post screenshots in there, and we can help out with like specific issues and stuff like that. The Discord's really nice. All right, so this is generally how I set up my VR projects. So so this is the XR plugin management tab. We've got the PC side and then the Android side. And then if we scroll down, we got Oculus, which is multipass only. and then we have the PC for OpenXR, and that's usually single pass. And single pass, you may run into issues. So if you're running into issues where you only see something in one eye, try swapping this over to multipass, and then that may help. Some shaders only render on one, don't render twice on one pass, so you need to use multipass. Multipass is a little more intensive as far as processing power goes and whatnot, but um, sometimes makes your games look a little better and whatnot. So it's basically doing two render calls instead of one render call and just kind of duplicating it. Oh yeah, the invite link, it should be in the description of this video. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong. I can actually just copy and paste it and drop it into the chat as well. There we go. Yeah, so this is the Discord. I was actually working today on setting up some like opt-in roles right now, because like we just basically have a member role, and then you're either a member, a patron, a or a moderator. And so like those are like the three roles. So I'm working today on like adding in some roles of like, hey, I'm you know, pretty good at this, and I'll opt in for tech support. So you can kind of ping tech support if you have a issue that you need solved, or there's some like people who are like a gaming group, and like so I'm trying to add in some like opt-in member roles so that we can actually like kind of hang out and ping the people who are actually associated with that kind of activity. So like gaming live streams and whatnot. So, or if you want to get notified about videos, because I kind of feel bad about pinging just like everyone or members about when videos and stuff come out. So I'm going to have like an opt in of like, if you want to get notified when videos come out, then you can opt into this role. So, um, oh yeah, Patreon. I appreciate everyone who is subscribed to my Patreon. I have no idea how 200 of you are actually like um subscribed. It's kind of kind of ridiculous in my head. But if you want access to the source code, I really appreciate it. Um, I mean, you get all of the code when I'm doing the tutorials. You just have to type it in yourself. But if you don't want to type it in yourself, you can sub to my Patreon. It's like $3, and you get access to all the source code from all the tutorials. So, little plug there. Anyways, let's continue. So we've got our project settings down, but what a lot of you have actually been having issues with is if we go into Window, Package Manager. My dog's eating a bone, so don't mind weird sounds if you hear them. So Unity has like kind of updated their package manager a little bit. See if I can make this a little bigger, actually. And so you'll see when your packages are in project or in Unity registry, you'll see these kind of like groupings of different packages that you can install, which is actually kind of helpful. Like if you're like, oh, I'm actually going to do 3D world building, I could download Pro Builder, Polybrush, FBX Explorer, and Terrain Tools. So like AR, here's all your AR stuff. VR only has Oculus and OpenXR, which we've actually already downloaded. If we go and look by in the project settings, we've already downloaded these. So there's your OpenXR check and Oculus XR check. Let's see. But what you guys might have noticed if you've used the new 2021.2 is that oh, the power just flickered. Well, hopefully I have a power supply on this, so hopefully this doesn't go out. It would just be internet, so we'll see. If I just randomly go down, it's kind of storming outside, so we'll pick this up, and when I'll spin it back up. So just look for a new link in the Discord if this ends up going down. I have a generator. I've got all of my stuff connected to a little battery pack in case flickers like that happen, so I don't shut down and lose all the code I've been working on. Let's see, set up all the actions before making the rig. Yes, so I can show you how to do that. So before we even add in the rig, so first we need to add in the XR toolkit. So the plugin management, basically what that does is just takes whatever it basically communicates between the headset and Unity, and like facilitates that. But the XR Interaction Toolkit facilitates all of the like button presses and like how do you translate those button presses into actual gameplay. And so that's why we need the um, XR Interaction Toolkit, but it's not in here anymore. They kind of hid it. And even if you go to this little cogwheel and then Advanced Project Settings, and then you'll see this Enable Pre-Release Packages. If we check that, so like this is what you had to do, originally, and go back to the Package Manager. Oh, I lost it. Oh no. Oh, it's right here. No. Package Manager. Oh, it's way down here. Okay. I found it. Usually, well, my screen's at 150%, so you guys can actually see things. But usually, I have all of these docked just behind the scene view. So we've enabled preview packages, and I think we've enabled preview packages. I'm not even seeing any in here. Let's refresh. Huh? There's not even any preview packages in here. Interesting. But there's a way you can manually get this. So you hit this plus button down here, and then you go to add project from get URL. And then here's what you type in. It's com.unity.xr.interaction.toolkit. Hit enter. And there, we have magically found your XR Interaction Toolkit package. Ta-da! And pre-release. I don't know why they hid it. This has happened actually a couple times. I think when we swapped over from 2020 to 2021, then we they hit it again. All right, I made a backup. Go ahead. So basically, it's just going to say like, hey, this is a pre-release, so it may do things to your project. If you had, it's basically saying if you have any XR rig stuff in here, make sure you make a backup because we're about to break everything because this is a newer version. So that's basically what it's like the controversy between XR rig and XR origin. If you import the newest version of this, it's going to break all your XR rig stuff. That's what that warning was saying. What's up? I saw a tutorial video someone made. They set up the action rigs. Oh yeah, we're going over that. I keep rereading the same chat. Anyway, so we have the XR Interaction Toolkit. So you just hit the plus button, com.unity.xr.interaction.toolkit. And that's how you get that. And then just like normal, we can expand the samples folder and then import the default input actions. And this is how we set everything up before we actually even start the XR rig. So exit out of that, go back into scene, and then before we add anything into our scene, we have been given the samples XR Interaction Toolkit, and then this 2.0 release, and then here is all of our default import actions. And so we want to click on this button here at the top that just adds all of these presets to our providers. So this is for left hand, right hand, snap turning, continuous turn, and then continuous move. So that's all 5 presets. And so basically it just sets up all of these actions you see here. And then one more thing before we add the XR rig. There's so many things, but one more. Go back into project settings, and then inside of preset manager, you'll see now we've added in all these presets, and they're all showing up here. So we should have all 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we just need to differentiate between the left hand controller and the right hand. So just type right and left. There. Preset manager and then right and left. And then we go back to the scene view, right click, XR. You'll see XR origin action based. We want to add this one, not the XR origin. So XR origin action based will add in the left hand and right hand attached to it, and the interaction manager. If you just hit XR origin, it's going to add just the camera, and that's it. So like just your head, like you don't have any arms or anything, which you can add in later, but just go ahead and click XR origin. So you automatically get this XR interaction manager. It automatically swaps the main camera over to the XR origin, and then we have a camera offset, main camera, left hand, and right hand controllers. And then just click in and make sure that your right hand has right hand actions and your left hand actually has left hand actions. And now I should be able to just start and play the game. So let's save. Wait, no, one more. I always forget about this step. There's one more step. There's always one more step. So on the interaction manager, we're gonna go to, and it doesn't really matter where you put it in the scene. It just has to be in the scene. So we're gonna do input action manager, and then we'll click on this down arrow, add one, and then we're just gonna add in the only input action that is there. So this is the it's this input actions here. So basically we're just kind of hooking this up and saying, okay, now these are all of the um, things that happen when these buttons are pressed. So whenever um, the grip button is pressed, then I want to call this select action. And then the XR Interaction Toolkit will translate the select action and be like, okay, well, you press select and you're hovering over this, so we're going to pick it up. So that kind of thing. Let's see. I'm going to check chat one more time. Movement helper script. It's been a while since I've looked at that tutorial. I will go over some movement a little bit here actually, and show you guys how to set up movement. So I'll set up movement and I'll set up sockets, and like some like physics. So you have like a rigid body kind of thing. I'll be here for like an hour and a half, so an hour and a half longer. So we've got plenty of time. I can answer your questions and whatnot. Yeah, there is a save a scene as a template, but I've never actually like played around with it. So you can go into like your assets folder, and then we go into scenes and right click and say create, and then scene template. I've never actually played around with this. So it looks like we can grab a scene here. And if you're really smart, you would set this up or set a scene up, like a default scene or whatever. And then you would right click on it and then say export package. And then it would grab all of the dependencies and everything into the export packages. And then you could just, drag and drop the package into a new project. And now you have XR support. But yeah, I don't really know what a scene template is. I haven't really played around with it very much. Unity is a beast, so I know a lot about some very specific things, specifically in the XR VR niche. So like scenes and anything in the like lighting kind of stuff is I'm horrible at. I know enough animations to get by. And then coding is my wheelhouse. So if you want animation or modeling or making things look pretty, this is not the channel for you. I am awful at those things. So when I make games, I always just hire out artists and music people, or I just buy it from the asset store. So if you're like trying to prototype something really fast and you're good at coding, but you're not really good at like the creative stuff, then highly recommend just buying some resources or even just getting some free ones to throw up there. Um, and if you're putting enough effort into your game to actually put it on Steam, highly recommend spending some coin to get like a good to like kind of fill out your what you're not so good at. So like you just dive really good into whatever you're good at, and then hire somebody else to come behind you for like a day or two and just be like, okay, we're gonna make all these animations actually pretty now. So let's see. So now we have a working VR controller in here. So if I hit play, put my headset on, see if I'm actually still in link mode. Yep. All right. And then there we go. Two laser pointers. And that's pretty much it. Super exciting VR scene. But from here, so like that's the hard part. The rest is quite simple. Let's see. Yes, VR is going to be the new thing, guys. If you're good at 2D stuff or 3D stuff, it the especially 3D kind of Unity stuff, it translates very well into VR because like you really only have to worry about a different kind of input. So VR is like not necessarily that much different from making a 3D game. You still have to have a UI, you still have to have like, the game sequence of quests or whatever your game type is going to be. You're still going to have animated AI enemies if that's going to be in your game. So you take a lot of stuff from 3D development into your VR game. It's just the really only difference is your player controller stuff. And so you actually pick up things physically instead of clicking a button and it like animates into your inventory or whatever. Yeah, VR is going to be very big. My channel like doubled in subscribers in the last like or not subscribers, but like the rate at which it was growing like doubled since the Facebook Meta announcement. So that was kind of wild. And I hadn't posted a video for like a month, and I was like, huh, all of a sudden everybody's watching my videos for some reason. Like, oh yeah, Facebook kind of tipped the scale a little bit. So let's add in a ground so we can actually stand. So when we add physics, we don't actually fall through the floor. The ground, and then yeah, that's set correctly. That's set correctly. And you'll notice that when I'm hovering over the XR controller, that the so let's turn lighting off for now. So the XR origin. So we have an XR origin script here instead of the XR rig, and there's also no like green box anymore. So they got rid of that. And if you don't see like kind of your camera, then just make sure that gizmos is checked on, and you can actually see some things. And then let's add movement first because movement think is arguably more important than anything else. Um, and then we're gonna add sockets, and then I'll go through and try to make a little more advanced kind of movement. So if we actually go through and click our button, we can swap. Goodness, my throat's been so sore this week. If we click the button, then we can swap. Gosh, I can't say swap. Swap. If you click the button, we can swap between teleporting and actually continuous move, and then the same thing for the other hand. So you can swap between the snap turning and then the continuous turning. So if we have enough time, I'll show you guys how to do that. So first things first, let's do like simple basic movement. First, so all you have to do really is right click, go to XR, Locomotion. And since we've already gone through and added all of the presets to the providers, we actually have a set up locomotion system for teleporting and snap turning. So this is set up from the beginning. Let me hide my do snapping. So really all you would need to do when we start, also I like to reset all my transforms back to the center. So what we really need to do is take this ground plane and then add a teleportation area to it. So teleportation area, and then all of the default stuff is perfectly fine. It'll automatically find the teleportation provider, but we can drag and drop that in there as well if we want. And then you can also add a custom reticle, so you can just drop a game object in here, and it'll. Oh no, am I lagging? Are you guys? Am I back? Oh, are you guys arguing about Unreal versus Unity in the chat? Okay, cool. We're back. My one take on that is Unreal is or Unity. So what we're in now is ahead of the game than Unreal is. Unreal is more for I would call it more for like AAA kind of studios. If you have a team of 100, I'd probably recommend using Unreal. But if you're an indie developer and you have five ish, like, or you're working solo, then highly recommend Unity because it's, just kind of a little bit easier to work with. And honestly, I decided this because I didn't have to learn C++ to code, because I already knew C sharp, and so I'm like, I'm just gonna stick with Unity. I actually tried Unreal for a little bit, and their blueprint system's kind of nice. So if you don't know how to code, then Unreal's a very viable option because you can just kind of drag and drop. Also, Unity is a viable option because you can use like stuff like Playmaker and whatnot. Oh, when I hid the video, audio cut out. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. I will keep that in mind. All right, so we have a locomotion system. We have added a teleportation area to the ground. And now if I hit play, so that's really the only two things we did was add the locomotion system and then add the teleportation area. And now, well, you can't really see it because the lines are also white. But if I point at the ground, you'll see that it's lighting up as white, which is, a valid selectable thing. And then if I press the grip button, then I will teleport. And then for the other hand, or actually for both hands, I can snap turn and then kind of move around the scene by just clicking the grip button. Ta-da! Teleportation. Super easy. And then if you want to swap over to continuous move, then really all we need to do is I'm just going to disable both of these because we're going to come back to this later. So I'm just going to leave these like they are now. Actually, I'm gonna uncheck the left hand from snap turn because, um, just like your normal joystick, you move with your left hand and you look with your right hand. So we're gonna look with our right hand, snap turn, and then we're gonna add a continuous move provider. Make sure it's action based because everything else we've added is action based. Drag and drop the locomotion system. You don't necessarily need to because it'll automatically find it. We're going to up the move speed to like 3-ish. Something to keep in mind though is the faster the move speed, the more likely your player is going to get motion sick. So, if you noticed, if you played Half Life Alex, you don't have the ability to sprint. You can only walk quite slowly, actually. So, but that is intentional because it prevents motion sickness. So now we have continuous move, and we move with our left hand. So I'm going to uncheck right, and then continuous turn, also action based. Locomotion system, and then you can set the turn speed. 60 is probably fine. And then uncheck left hand because we turn with the right. And I hate games that just swap them. So like if you say you're left-handed, they just swap all the controls, and I hate it because I am used to right-handed controls because I've been playing right-handed FPS games my whole life. Also, I'm left-handed. If you guys have not figured that out by now, so I'm left-handed, and so I hate when games say, "Okay, oh, you're left-handed, then we're just gonna swap all the controls for you." I'm like, "No, no, no, that's not what I want. I want like the thumbsticks and everything to like stay the same. I just want to be able to like point with my left hand instead of point with my right hand." Are those scripts included with Unity XR? What scripts? Oh yeah, these. So these are all. If you install the XR Interaction Toolkit, these all come with it. So that's all you need to do. Thanks, Incredible Fox. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get. I have not been very consistent over the last several months, to be honest. But I am on a mission to actually get more consistent putting out videos. At least like yeah, I'm trying to at least do once a week, and then now I'm trying to do once a week plus like a live stream that I on like the weekend, so I can just kind of chat with y'all, kind of go over what I went over in the video, but maybe a little more in depth, answer your questions in the chat, kind of be a little more personable. So I just want to make more and do more and whatnot, especially since I've seen the uptick of like more people interested in VR. I am really excited to get everybody into it and whatnot. So As long as I post some, you're fine. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I do post the most frequently out of any VR developer that I've seen so far. So that was kind of my goal when I first started doing all this development stuff. I was, just like you guys. Like I didn't know how to do anything, and I didn't. I'm not saying you guys don't know how to do anything. Sorry, that I didn't mean to say that. You guys, I was just like you, where I could not find the right resources for the things I wanted to learn, and so as I learned them, I just started making videos, and that's kind of how we ended up here. Wow, I keep getting distracted. Going into story time. Okay, so continuous move. I don't. I'll show you. I'll show you. Jump in. It's really quick to test things. So I basically just unchecked the teleportation provider and the snap turn provider, and then added continuous move and continuous turn. Hit play again. Jump in, and now, so um, my pointers still turn white because the ground is still a valid teleportation area. But when I press the um, button to actually teleport, nothing happens because now when I move my thumbstick, I move around the world. And then when I do the other thumbstick, I go back and forth. So just make sure, like, when you're doing continuous move and continuous turn, that you actually like uncheck the other direction. So like, or what you only do it with one hand. You don't want to do it with both hands because then you're like, oh, I'm moving forward, but also I'm also turning, so I don't weird. So just make sure you have one checked and not the other. Be chatting. I gotta catch up again. You and Valum rock. Is it Valum or Valum? I honestly, um, I don't know. I say it both ways like a ton. Let's see. Yes, continuous move. Okay, so so motion sickness, you just have to do it over and over and over again until you get used to it. That's kind of how um start with like a game that I've heard Vader Immortal is a good game to play that helps you with kind of motion sickness because you are like standing in one spot and like using the lightsaber and shooting. I've actually not ever played Vader Immortal. I've seen the videos, but I haven't played it. That was actually one of the first Oculus games to come out was Vader Immortal. It was that and like Echo VR. Echo VR is still the bomb. Um, Valem. Okay, cool. But to get good at motion sick, you just have to do it over and over and over again. And so, like Vader Immortal, they kind of move you. There's some moving scenes, but there's also some like sitting still scenes. So you get to move for like a few minutes, and then you sit still and kind of recover for a few minutes, and that's a good way to do it. Or you just do it like I did, and we're like super deep into it and do like the play onward. That was my first introduction to continuous move, and I almost threw up. Like press the go forward button, and I was like, oh goodness. Like um yeah, I did not do well. But you just have to like do it, go for it, and then when you take the headset off, also know you're gonna feel like you have a hangover for like a while, like a couple hours after you play VR until you get used to it. So it's just kind of one of those things you got to work up a tolerance to. It kind of sucks when you're first getting into it, but you can work up a tolerance. So know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. If you want to get into this for like game development and stuff, you are not permanently stuck to just being motion sick every time you get into VR. Onward is really cool. Onward is very immersive. Like all the interactions are very nice. And like, there's lots of tools and stuff you can use. And like the scopes and the guns handle very nice. I like it. All right. Let's do sockets now. Okay. So let's add in a table. So we're going to do a 3D object and a cube. Reset that back to the center. Hold down control and then snap it up a couple times. So now it's like on the bottom. And then I'm just gonna hold on control again and then kind of move this forward a little bit so that I actually start right here and the table is just gonna be in front of me. And then let's create a couple materials so things look a little prettier. So I'm going to right click in assets, make a new folder called materials. And then inside of materials, right click, create a material. This is going to be the ground material. And then let's just do a like an orangish brown kind of thing. It's dirt. Oh, just looks exactly like the oh, we can just turn the skybox off. Window, rendering, lighting, environment, skybox, none. There we go. And then we can make the ground something more fun now. Let's do like a bright. None of these are bright. Oh, it's because I have lighting turned off. Blue. Like blue. Or should we go yellow? Yellow's kind of my channel theme. So I originally started making the thumbnails with like bright yellow backgrounds because it just stood out when you're like scrolling up in your feed. And now I'm kind of like locked into yellow. But it's nice. It's not bad. It's a good, like you can kind of mix it around with stuff. Whatever. We're spending too much time in this. That's a good enough color. And then we want a let's do another material, and we're just going to call this things material. And these can be red. Sure. So I'm going to create a sphere, reset it back to the center, and then make it small. So like 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, and then drag it up on top of the box, maybe a little bit bigger, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. Let's see. Controls and Echo VR awkward. I don't remember the controls. I haven't played Echo VR in a while. I need to jump back in. So the VR game I play the most right now is Population 1 still. Because Population 1 is the I don't do well in single player games. I can only stay in single player games for like a solid 30 minutes. Even if it's like on the computer, like flat screen, 30 minutes max, or else I get bored. Because it's like I don't like single player games are just predictable. They move slow. I don't know what it is. So yeah, multiplayer game. So Population 1, it's the same scene, very clever, but it's just different every time because they just kind of randomize stuff. So that's my take on what games I like to play is like I just like multiplayer games because they're interesting. All right, let's create a sphere. We're going to create a cube. This one's also going to be 0.2. We're going to drag the cube up here as well. Oh, just reset it. Make that red as well. And then we'll give both of these a collider. Or a rigid body, I mean. You get a rigid body. You get a rigid body. Oh, my throat, guys, man. All right. So we want to be able to pick these up, and then let's have um, let's make a little wall kind of area. Let's say like we'll make like a sword, and then we'll have a wall that you like can dock the sword to, and it's like your weapon rack or whatever. So we're gonna extend this out, make it kind of skinny. Oh, let's go this side because the light's over there. All right, this is gonna be our little makeshift weapons rack. And then we actually want to turn this cube into somewhat of a sword. It's gonna be a red sword. Also, that's huge. We'll make it a little smaller. Gonna rotate it a little bit so it's leaned up against the wall there, and then let's add in another parent or a child cube that is just going to be the normally this would not be how you would do this. You would want to have both of them on the same layer with like a parent. Um, Actually, we'll do it right. So I'll drag this out and then create an empty sword. Sword. That's how you pronounce sword. There we go. So you have like kind of your main component, and then you have all of your like kind of visual elements underneath. So let's take the rigid body off and drop the rigid body on top. And now we have like a weird looking little sword. Hmm. And the center point of the sword is not correct. Okay, so the way you fix this is I'm going to make a empty game object underneath, call this sword, delete the old sword, and then drop this out. And now our center point is right here on the hilt. Oh, Google Mesh. Yeah, Google Mesh is really good. I actually upgraded to a if I can ever speak again. Um Upgraded to a Wi-Fi 6 in my PC, and it is crazy fast. Holy cow. I get like so we have AT&T internet, so we get like a gig of fiber, and then with Wi-Fi. So I'm not wired in with my computer. With Wi-Fi, I get about 500 megabits a second with Wi-Fi. It's absolutely crazy. Wi-Fi 6 is amazing. And so with that, you can also stream to your headset super fast. So I can play Half-Life Alyx in link mode without any hiccups, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's super, super cool. Highly recommend upgrade. Like if you have a built PC, just swap the Wi-Fi card out with like a Wi-Fi 6 card. It's like $100, $200 maybe. Very nice. Of course, you also have to have the Wi-Fi 6 router also. So both of them have to be Wi-Fi 6. So just a top tip if you have fiber. So highly recommend. Tommers, you're getting a headset next week. Are you gonna develop in VR? I mean, I guess that's kind of why you're here at this channel, watching a how to do sockets video instead of some other YouTubers who's like, "Here's how to play games in VR." Um, yes, I am gonna post this replay. It's just gonna be on in my channel underneath live streams with Justin. There is a playlist, so this will be there. Don't worry if you have to drop or whatever. I'm gonna go for maybe another hour. I might have to pee because I've been drinking a lot of water. So let's continue on with sockets. Yes, I keep like losing track of like, oh, we're talking and whatever. Okay, so we have a object here. So the sword is our main object here. We've got two colliders where the cubes are. We're going to add a rigid body. The sword also needs to be grabbable, so we're going to add a grab interactable. And the grab interactable is going to interact with our left hand controller ray interactor and our right hand controller ray interactor. And so this will also work if you have a direct interactor as well. So a ray interactor basically just shoots a line out straight from your hand, from your controller, and anything it touches within a predefined radius, or not a radius, how many meters out it shoots straight. Um, if it hits anything, it's going to highlight to the color that you select in the XR Interactor line visual, so you can kind of manipulate what the colors are. So usually, I will actually just drop these down to nothing. So like general like production level games, you don't actually really see rays unless you're interacting with UI elements. So just drop these down so you don't actually see anything. But so I'm actually going to leave it up because I don't want to like, set up things. But you add a reticle here. So down here at the bottom, so you set like a you have a game object that you have as a reticle. Usually it's just like a little circle, like a hollow circle kind of thing. And anything that's selectable when you're hovering over it, there'll be a reticle. And you can see, oh, okay, this is something that I can actually pick up. And then you'll feel like a little haptic feedback too. So there'll be a little bit like a buzz when you hover over something. So you also get like that visual and then also physical, like kind of haptic feedback of, oh, okay, this is something I can pick it up. And then when you do pick it up, you get a little more powerful haptic feedback in your hand to say, to kind of compensate for like, okay, you actually are picking something up. And like, if you actually picked it up in the real world, you would feel like that physical grabbing of the thing. So the haptics kind of help with that a little bit. And you can set that up in the XR controller. You scroll all the way down. Oh, not the controller, Ray Interactor. Scroll all the way down. You can set up haptic events down here too. So if you wanted to set up like, it buzzes when it comes into my hand or when I hover over something. So, so select enter is actually grabbing it. So select, we want to be a little more powerful, and then the duration can be like 0.25 or something like that. And then hover entered. So this is just you're hovering over it, you're not actually picking it up, just like a really light little buzz, and then a really quick kind of setup there. Let me kind of scroll up just so make sure my head's not blocking everything. All right. So that's how you do haptic feedbacks kind of stuff. And then we want to pick the sword up. So sword has a grab interactable on it, and then we want to be able to drop it onto a socket. So we're gonna make a new. So you can create a 3D empty, or just an empty object and add a socket to it, or you can go down to XR and add in socket interactor. Super easy. We reset this back to the center, and then we're going to drag it over to a spot on the wall that we want. And then the blue arrow, your Z axis, is forward. So press E to get to the rotate tool, and then Control to kind of snap rotate. So I'll rotate around 90 degrees. Also, let's swap over to local. So forward, that's where whatever we snap to is going to be facing. Um, and then this little sphere here. So the components of a socket interactor are a sphere collider, or a box collider, or just any kind of collider, really. And then a socket interactor. And then you have to have your collider set to is trigger. Make sure that's set up. And now we should be able to just drag and drop our sword into this little wall spot. So let's save the scene. I always save right before I run, because if you do not, when you hit play, that is the most likely spot that Unity is going to crash. And so if you don't save beforehand, then you lose all of that data in the crash. So always save before you hit play. A 30,000 ping? That's absolutely ridiculous. My average when I'm playing like multiplayer games is like 30, 40. All right. So we have a sword. Oh, I'm holding it upside down, but we have the sword we can whack the other ball with. And if we go over here, oh, I forgot to turn anchor control. So if you ever wonder what anchor control is, so when I'm moving, so see I'm moving around, the sword also kind of rotates and moves back and forth, and it's super annoying. I don't know why this is set on for default, but anyway, if we go into the socket, so like here's our socket. So you'll see when I my sword moving around. So when I hover over where the actual collider is, it shows me this blue outline of where the socket's gonna, or where the thing's gonna snap to, and then when I let go, it just snaps there. And now it's just kind of hovering, and then I can just reach back and grab it again, um, and snap it there. And so you can actually use this as a like goodness words, a inventory system. So you can attach these little socket points to different places on your collider on your body and actually, use it as like over the shoulder inventory or like your holster inventory or whatever. Like you just have like items on your chest and whatnot. So this is basically what like Onward does when you like have your gun mounted or like all of your magazines or grenades or whatever. It's just all sockets in your like tactical vest, and you just grab, um, and it's just all very small sockets. So let's see. Do you guys have any more questions so far? Post your questions in the chat. Can I do a tutorial on setting up multiplayer VR game? Yes. Um, maybe not super soon, but I do want to do multiplayer. I am actually learning how to do multiplayer right now. I'm learning how to do normcore kind of stuff. And so, if you don't know that, I actually teach professionally. I teach VR courses with a company called XR Terra. So XR TERRA.com. If you are interested in actually taking a course with me, it's a little pricey, but if you mention my name, you get a 30% off discount to any of the courses. So they have like a very expensive course, and then they also have like kind of a 4-week course that's a lot less. So if you're interested in actually like having this become your main job, then I highly recommend taking one of those courses. And you get to take a course with me, which would be cool. Um, so, where do you get your info from? Oculus documentation is kind of dumb, but with the XR Toolkit or Unity stuff, you don't have to deal with Oculus stuff. So that's why I generally don't do like if any of your scripts say OVR in front of them, they are Oculus specific scripts, and I don't usually use those. So I generally stay away from Oculus scripts stuff. I only use the Oculus settings for building the project. You need to buy XR gear to start. Well, I would recommend having a VR headset. That would be a good kind of it would let me just jump this up real quick for a little bit, and then we'll go jump back into the code. So I would highly recommend having like a VR headset if you are doing VR development. That would be a good one. Your cheapest option is going to be the Quest 2. So you could get um, they have two different models. So they have a like a 64 gig size of Quest 2, and then they have a 256 gig. So my throat's just dying. Promise I don't smoke. Um, so if you want to get Quest 2, you can get like the lower end, and I recommend just getting the lower gig version because everything's in the cloud now. So you can just buy as many games as you want, and then as you want to play them, you just download them onto the Quest and then play them. So you can have like your 3 or 4 favorite games play on the Quest, and the rest of them just in the cloud, and you download them as you want to play them. Also, 64 gigs is a lot for VR games, specifically for games that go on your Quest, because Quest games inherently have to be small because the processor on the Quest is like it's a phone. Like it's essentially like a phone. So like you have like a phone size processor in there, and then that does everything. So you are basically, if you're developing specifically for the Quest, you have to make sure that it's very, very lightweight. You're not using a lot of polygons. It's basically like you're developing for a mobile game. So that's why I generally will develop for PC games. But and yes, the VR industry is moving very fast. Um, So that's why I like to keep like I feel like I've done like 7 how to get started tutorials. It's probably at least 4 or 5. of like, let's start VR. And I always I always include at the beginning of my videos, like, so like when I'm teaching sockets, teach you how to set up in the current environment, because Unity keeps changing it, and it's honestly a little annoying. But it gives me views because I just get to repeat the same content slightly differently to show people how to get set up with VR. Um, but yes, they do constantly update, and that's why I highly recommend using a long-term support version if you're going to be developing for VR for any kind of like game or anything like that. Oh, you can't get 64 gigs anymore. It's only 128. Interesting. Maybe they're just out of stock. Oh, this one's I think this one's the 256 gig, and I am nowhere near filling that up. I have all of the games from the VR Jam on there. Um, which, ooh, speaking of VR Jam, we could talk about that a little bit. I would love to do another VR Jam in January, and I also want to participate because I want to build another VR game, just like a small one. I have like two or three like ongoing projects always, but I want to like kind of build a little VR Jam game. Goodness. Iola, what was your question? Finish your physics hands tutorial. Player use the hands to pull themselves over something. Yes, you could. So if you have physics hands, um, so basically, if you're going to use physics in your game, everything has to be physics. You can't use a character controller. You can't like move anything via transform. So you just have to make sure everything uses physics, and then you want to um, basically make your character's body way less than your hands are with like the rigid body. So when you push up with both of your hands, then your character will also like kind of get pushed up. And so then that's the main thing to like do if you're doing like a purely physics game like Boneworks. Everything has to be physics. You can't like procedurally or do anything with like transforms or anything. Yes, you can always downgrade the packages. So there you always have that option to downgrade. So if you go over to package manager, you'll see that you have all the versions here. You can actually go to the documentation, the changelog, and grab a specific version if you want. And then the up arrows are all ones that you could upgrade as well. So these are all the ones with up arrows have a update out available, and then you can just update them here. XR Origin does not contain camera rig space position with camera in rig space height. Oh yeah, so let's set up a little project here with like a little more advanced movement. So like let's add in a rigid body, and so I actually like bump into things. So I'm gonna pull up a old project just so I have one. Where are you? Pulling up some reference material because I don't want to like tell y'all the wrong thing. Scripts. I need a player script. All right, well, this is coming up. I'm going to go to the bathroom very fast. And we're back. Y'all are gonna see me start dancing if I held that any longer. Ba-ba-dum. I do want to open this, please. I did. I just had to really pee really bad, so it all came out very fast. All right, so we're gonna build something to the effect of what you just got a tiny glimpse of. Or no, my screen's not being shared anymore. Haha. All right, here we go. So let's make the XR origin have a character controller. So if I set the game up to, let's dock the game down here so y'all can actually see the scene. And then so when I run it, oh, I still got the expand on or maximize on awake or whatever. Play focused. So now when I play, you should be able to see the XR rig kind of moving around. So yep, so see my camera here and whatnot. So I'm like looking around, move my hand around, you can see all that. What if we add a collider? Just gonna drop the size of the icons down a little bit. So let's add a empty object, and this is gonna be a collider. We're gonna add a capsule collider here, and so you can see it right there. We're gonna make it a height of 2, and then a radius of like 0.25-ish. Now, if I play, like you would think that like, okay, I have a capsule collider, cool, on my rigid body, and it's attached to the XR rig. So cool. But you'll see if I move my camera around, the collider is not actually following my camera around. So I can like kind of move around and whatnot. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Move it around, and the collider just kind of stays wherever. So even if and it kind of follows me if I move. But if I like take a step to the side, like nothing happens. And so this is a little problematic if you want to like, have the ability to run into things. So let's make a script. If you've been following the channel for any time at all, you'll know that I love scripts. All right. Also, let me check chat really quick. Yes, I really appreciate you guys like helping each other out in the chat because I'm like kind of everywhere right now. Also, please like the video because that helps me just in general, and join the Discord because then we actually get to hang out and like talk, and we actually get to answer like some of your questions and whatnot. So join the Discord, and we can do some things. And also, I'm going to do some more live streams and whatnot, so you'll get notifications there. Discord is kind of the hub of where everything happens. So there's a link in the description, I believe, and if not, it's on every single one of my videos. So let's make a script to actually have the collider follow the player around. So let's jump back into assets, and then we're going to make a folder called scripts. Jump into here, create a C# script, and then this is going to be called player movements. Will the collider be connected to the hands? Yes. Iolove, in your particular case, you would want one collider for each hand, and like rigid bodies on those. And like you need to procedurally update where the colliders are. You can't just attach them to the hand. You would have to like make a separate controller down here and then have a script that will add velocity and force to kind of follow your hands around. Just watch my the video you're talking about, like the physics hands. I kind of show you how to do that. you can't just have like a collider on the hands. You have to have like collider following the hands around and whatnot. It's a little bit complicated, but anyway, so we've got a player mover script. I use JetBrains Writer for like my IDE stuff, and it is so nice. So we want to get so this is where you're running into issues with the camera in space and other things. So we want a XR origin. XR origin. So this is going to be using unity.xr.core now. So you might need when I click on this, we are importing the unity.xr.core up here at the top. So this is going to be an XR origin. So we're just going to call it as a private variable. And then we also need a reference to the collider. So in this case, we'll do capsule collider. And we'll call it collider. We have the XR origin, so that gives us access to the camera and where the hands are and like that kind of stuff. Yes, Writer is amazing. If you are using Visual Studio for Unity development, if I highly, highly, highly recommend using Writer or checking it out. You get like 3 months for free, and if you're a student, you get the whole package for free. So check out Writer. It's made by JetBrains, so JET Brains. And it's Rider, RIDER, is the actual application, and it works so much better with Unity than Visual Studio. Like it's amazing. I can like start Visual Studio, or I can start Unity in play mode from here. Like it's very nice. And it has like, if you've seen, like, I never have to type anything in up here in the using statements because it automatically adds all of that for me. I don't even have to do any hotkeys. Oh, also I installed a little plugin, so you'll see down here, like if I press buttons, show down here. So just to help you guys out a little bit, because I know some of you are like, "What did you do? How did you? What hotkey was that to like actually make things happen?" So I have a little presentation thing script that runs down at the bottom that shows you any hotkeys that I use. So in the awake function, we're going to grab a reference to the XR origin and the collider. So XR origin is going to equal get component XR origin, and then the collider is going to be equal to get component. But this one's going to need to be get component in children, because the collider is actually a step down in Unity. And this is going to be capsule collider. Now we have a reference to both of those. In the update method, so update, so see how it just autofills? And I can just hit tab, bloop, the whole method for me. It's amazing. And it automatically selects everything that's in the method, so I can just like start typing and it goes away, which is super, super nice. So in the update method, we want to grab the center spot of where the camera is in kind of the world. So we're going to grab a vector3, call it center. And then this is going to be the XR origin, and then this is the camera in space position. So camera in origin space position. So that'll give you a vector3 at your height, and then also kind of where you are in space. If your XR origin is named XRRig, you're either using a later version, earlier version of Unity and haven't updated the XR Interaction Toolkit package, or you have updated the XR Interaction Toolkit package and now you're getting tons of errors, or it's being it's deprecated and is not going to work very much. Oh, should I slow down? Sorry, when I get excited about like teaching stuff, I just start talking really fast. So, and coding's just like blah blah blah. I've been watching like really advanced coding tutorials over the last like week, and I never watch anything at one time speed. I always watch everything at like at least 1.5, usually 2 times speed. I listened to the entire Harry Potter series in a week one time because I listened to it at 3 times speed, because I just like slowly just notched the speed up a little bit, and over time you just kind of get used to it. And so when I am listening to things all day, it's always at 2 times speed. And so when I start talking at like 2 times speed. So please let me know if I need to slow down because I will talk fast, especially when I am talking about stuff that I'm excited about, like VR. And then I forget to breathe. And then I'm like, I have to like, actively like take some breaths. So if you're just joining us, we are trying to set up a capsule collider that follows our XR rig camera so that we can actually like bump into things and don't go through walls and like that kind of stuff. So we are getting a reference to our XR origin, the capsule collider, and then we're setting those in the awake method. Don't need the private variable. And then so we have the center, and then we're going to we're going to set the collider dot center equal to, oh goodness. And then here it's we can actually determine how short the person can get. So if we like have some specific little like holes that we don't want them to be able to like squish through, so like if they lay down and are like really close to the ground, they might be able to move through. We can actually set a minimum kind of height. So we can say math. Is it math f? Yes, math f dot clamp, and then this will actually set us between two different points. So we can do XR origin, camera in space, height is going to be clamped from 1F to like, 2.5 or something. But what am I doing wrong? Cannot convert float to vector 3. Oh, this is supposed to be height. Oops. H-I-G-H-H-E-I-G. Just can't spell. We have height here. So we're basically, we have the height, and then we're clamping. We'll kind of space it out so you can see it. So we're going to set the height of the collider. And since it's a capsule collider, we have access to the center and the height. If you're using another collider, you might not have access to actually these specific variables, but capsule colliders are generally what's used for player characters. And then the value that we are putting in is this. And then if it's below 1, it's going to set it to 1. And if it's above 2.5, it's going to set it to 2.5. So just so we can't get too tall or too short for specific instances. And then also, so that's the height. That's what really all we need to do for that. And then for the center, we're going to say the collider.center is going to be equal to a new vector 3, because we want to, we only want to update the X and Y. We don't need to update the, I guess we do need to update the height, but we need to update it to like a very specific spot. So we're going to say center.x. And then we're going to set the height to half of whatever the collider is. So collider dot height. So the y, so the center point of like where the y is going to be height half of height. And so that'll always have us like basically touching the ground. So no matter how short you are, you're always going to have half of the collider above and half of the collider below. And then center dot z. And so this is running every single frame. I'll break this up so you can see it a little better. So every frame we are grabbing the center of the camera, so basically just the camera's where it is, and then we're resetting the collider to wherever the camera is, and then setting the height to half of what, like, half of the height. So the camera's up here, the collider and the ground's here. The collider is going to be like the center of the collider will be right here, which is exactly what we want. And then we're resetting the height to be half of the collider. Or actually, well, so let's set height first because we're using height here. So yeah, we need to reset the height first, and then we can use it to set the position. So that's why we're doing it in that order. That all makes sense. I want to check comments really quick. Oh, did you just try the script, Jim? Alright, so I saved this, and we're gonna jump back into Unity, and then I'm still gonna keep it on scene mode so you can actually see the collider here. And so now when I hit play, you'll see nothing happens because I didn't add player movement to the XR rig. There we go. Just drag and drop player movement over. There, now it should work. I always forget something. There's always one thing that I have to go back and fix. Okay, so like see how the collider now, when I move around, the collider like follows me around. And the cool part is if I oh oh I think there's oh yeah, there's no rigid body. So I need to add a rigid body on here to actually be able to do collisions. So let's add a rigid body onto the XR origin. So this is like the parent object. And then we're just going to go down to constraints and freeze all the rotations so I don't fall over because that would be nauseating. And then for collision detection, since it's us and we're updating every single frame, we're going to change it to continuous dynamic, which basically means it's a fast moving object that is always moving. So we need to continuously update physics. So this will cause a little more strain on your performance. I mean, not really. If you had thousands of these, it would strain your performance. But since it's just this one object, it should be fine. Just know that continuous dynamic is a little more performant intensive than discrete, but also you get more accurate physics. So now when I hit play, I can you'll see I'll take a step to the here. Actually, let me go around this way, and then if I take a step to the side, you'll see that I don't actually go through the box. So I can go over here and step, and it kind of just pushes the box away from me. So I can't actually go through it. And even if I am running or like moving, trying to go that way, can't go through this wall. So there you go. And then, but some of y'all have run into this issue. Pick up an object and you go flying. Ooh, I wonder if I could kind of fly myself back up. Not really. Because the object you're picking up is being basically forced into you by the grab interactable, and your collider is like, oh my gosh, we're getting hit, so we need to throw ourselves up this way, and then that causes you to go flying. And yes, the capsule height is dynamic, so I'll demonstrate that in a sec. But you can crouch, and the height will go down. And we've set the minimum and maximum heights, which you can bring out as variables if you want. So that is very nice. So yes, the flying bug. How do you fix that? So you do this with physics layers. So this is the sword. So we're on our sword. We want to swap this layer, and we'll say it's an interactable layer. And then we need to go back and actually set the layer. And then, yeah, sure, the children can change too. And then in the XR origin, we need to set our layer to be like something like player. So we'll make a player layer. I would set player on 8 for some reason. I don't know why. So my colliders, my rigid body and all that is on the player layer. And then the sword is on an interaction layer, interactable. And then in physics or project settings, and then physics, if you scroll down to the bottom, you have like a little grid here. And so this basically tells you what things can interact with other things. And so if I follow this checkbox, I can say player interacts with interactables. Which now that I'm thinking about it, the naming could have been different, maybe. I don't know. Oh, naming's hard. Anyway, so player interacts with interactables, and we actually don't want the player like, the physics between the player and the interactables to like do anything. So we want to be able to pick things up and move them like through us and whatever, and nothing happened. So we're going to uncheck that box. And now that I have the sword on the interactable layer, the origin on the player layer, and now when I play, I can pick the sword up, and now I can swipe it through me and I don't go flying. So that's kind of the general idea. So now we can't interact. They can't interact with each other, so you're not gonna like go flying off into the distance. Yeah, grabbable is a good one. If you named the layer grabbable, then it would make a little more sense when like I don't want to interact with the interactables. That's doesn't make any sense. Naming is hard. Um, I love. Are you asking how to update the interaction toolkit? You just go to Window, Package Manager, and then you click on Interaction Toolkit, and then there should be an update button down here in the corner. Just click on that, and then you'll need to re-import your actions and re-download. You may need to delete the XR Interaction Toolkit from your packages first. So go down to Packages, XR Interaction Toolkit, delete this folder, and then re-download everything and update it, and then re-download it. Does the XR Interaction Toolkit have support for your hands? I've used VR Interaction Toolkit to get started, but would like to move to something a bit more standard and be less dependent on third-party packages. Yes, it is a very minor support. You're not going to get a ton of things, but you can do so. XR controller, you can add. So if you go to your left hand or your right hand, and then you go to XR controller and scroll all the way down, there is a model. So you can set up a model's prefab, a model parent. So this would be where you drag your hand model into. So this would be the left hand model, the right hand model, or whatever. But the problem is you only have one option, or really two options. Oh my goodness. My VR headset fell off and hit the floor. That's happened before, so not too worried. My dog grabs the cord and she doesn't like grab it, but she'll like walk through it. This is my puppy, by the way. Ugh, this is my 6-month-old golden doodle. Do you have anything to say? Her name's Nova Scotia. We just call her Scosh. But she'll like walk through the cord and it'll like get looped around her shoulder or something, and she'll just like rip my headset down. So it's happened before, and that's fine. I just have to restart it every now and then because it's a little rough sometimes. Hey, Magma, what's up? Uh, oh, I was talking about the game jam, and then I totally like got off track and went to pee or something. So the game jam, I want to actually do a game jam with y'all in January. So I'm thinking towards the end of January, we're gonna do another like weekend, like long weekend, like 3-day, 72-hour kind of game jam. But I actually want to participate with y'all because I think that'd be kind of fun. To actually I may just live stream like most of the time. I think that'd be super fun. MagSafe connectors. Ooh, be a good idea. Like all the old Mac things. You're making a ruckus. What are you doing? She has a little toy box that she's rummaging around in, and there's like a little ball in there. If you turn it upside down, it sounds like an alien. It's like womp 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 womp. So if you hear noise, it's just Nova. But yes, I would like to do a let's jump back into here since we're not doing the screen right now. So I would like to do a VR project. Oh my goodness. This is the alien ball. But so we're probably not gonna have like prizes or anything like that. But just hang out, do oh, now she's trying to get to it. Just hang out, play a game or make a game, and then I may live stream like the whole time, just so if you don't want to participate, you can just kind of watch and see like my process and whatnot. Because I am making some larger games right now that take like a few months to make, like nothing like huge. But oh, she went and found it. She is only 6 months old, and she's like 50 pounds. She's large. She's gonna get big. But yes, end of January, game jam, 72 hours, and I'm gonna put this in the clock. Not right now. Drive me crazy. So so yeah, I'll schedule that. If you join the Discord, you will get notified about it first there, and then I'll probably make like a short little video about like promoting it or whatever. So just make sure you join the Discord if you have not already. Also, make sure to like the video if you have not already, because that helps me out. I appreciate that. And also ask some questions in the chat if you have anything like specific, because I can go over some more stuff. I was thinking about doing. Oh, and we were talking about hands, and I like totally. So the hand model here. So the only one more thing I had on this is that you can only do two different animations. So you can actually type in whatever the word for your animation is in here, and it will swap it over to that. So like this is the animation, or it's a trigger. So you type in the word of the trigger parameter that you want to toggle the select animation, and then this is the trigger parameter that toggles the deselect animation. So you only have two animations with the default XR Interaction Toolkit hands. So it's doable and like adds some life into your project, but it's not very advanced. You don't have procedural, or you don't even have like individual finger control. Like if you press the trigger and like your finger goes down. Is it hard to do realistic hand stuff? Um, it is. Well, it depends. It depends. Depends. So like in I'm blanking on the name of the game. Goodness. Firewatch. Goodness, I don't know why I couldn't think of the name. So in Firewatch, they have I just watched the Game Jam, or not Game Jam, but the GDC talk about how they did like all the animations and stuff, and they had like 45 different animations for like picking up things, like specifically hand animations for like picking up different objects. And so you could go that route where you just, predefine every single hand animation and say like, okay, you're grabbing a bottle, it looks like this. You're grabbing a bottle, you have this kind of animation. You're grabbing like a, tiny object, it's this animation, that kind of thing. So you could go through and just like individually set all of those up and like do that, and that would depending on how many hand animations you have, that might be the better approach. If you have like 5 or 10 like different objects, like if there's like 3 different guns in your project, and like that's it, then it might be worth just doing that. But if you want to program like procedural hand animations, which I'm still working on a video for that, I've kind of just stalled out on that video because it's a little complicated. Um, but the general premise is you have a sphere like point right here, and then you slowly every frame kind of lerp the all the finger joints, so you like slowly move each, like bend each joint, and until you hit something. So you go until you hit something, and then the finger stops. And so you do that for all the fingers all at the same time whenever you press the grip, and when you release the grip, it just goes back out to like whatever your default pose is. So it's a little complicated, but um, it is quite nice. Using link. Oh yeah. So the all I'm doing for this is using link mode for in the Oculus Quest. So I've got the link cable plugged in, and then this just goes. It's like a 30-foot cable, and it's not Oculus's. This is like some cheap cable I found on Amazon. As long as it's USB 2.0 or greater, I would recommend 3.0 or even USB C to USB C if you could find one. But at least one end has to be USB C because that's like what the Quest is. But something like 20, 30 foot, and then that's plugged in. And then I'm just in link mode right now. So I just have the Oculus app running in the background. And in the in the Quest 2, you actually have to go through and click connect me to Oculus Link, and it'll kind of push you over into a different kind of environment. And then now, since I've got my project settings all set up, so with like this OpenXR checked and whatever, and this initialize XR on startup, when I hit play in play mode, and this doesn't work for Macs. Oh, I'm not even sharing my screen. Um, I have project settings all set up, and when I hit play in play mode, then it just pushes me right over. And as long as my headset's already on and in link mode, then it just lets me test right there. But if you're a Mac user, you will have to do a build every time. So you have to do an Android build to your Quest 2 in order to actually test. Does not work for Macs. Yeah, if you want to share it to your TV, you can just do it on the internet. So, well, yeah, TV you can't really access like an internet browser. If you want to do it to your computer, you can just go to oculus.com/casting, and then it gives you instructions there, and you basically just share to the computer. If you want to do it to a TV, you need to do something like Chromecast. I have set it up so that I can cast to a iPad, and then the iPad can hook up to Roku. So Roku can't natively be cast to, but you can set it like up a little like pass through. So I have kind of jumped it from the Quest to an iPad to the Roku to actually so other people could like see you play. But there was like a huge delay, so you had to like be in the other room, or else the audio would be super off. Oh yeah, there's no Linux support either for Link right now. It is very annoying. But I highly recommend, so back to the hands thing, I highly recommend that if you have a ton of different poses, because it's like a kind of a cost benefit. Like, is how long is it going to take me to make all of these animations and wire them all up versus just making one procedural like hand script that I can grab everything minus like two or three things that need a specific grip, like guns. Um, but yeah, otherwise like a procedural hand thing. Like even like Lone Echo has that, and it's super cool because you can like grab the like walls, and it like you know like it like makes your hand like grab the wall procedurally, which is super cool. And like even as you like turn your hand or whatever, it like repositions and everything. Super cool. I will do a video about that eventually. But I just I need to, that's like one of the more involved things, so I just need to like motivate myself to be like, "Hey, let's actually make this." So, what other videos do you guys want to see? Cuz I'm like kind of in the mood to like make some videos. So, if you want a video, request it now because I will most likely make it um here because I have some more momentum and motivation right now. Yes, that is a good point. Auto hand or any other assets. So, um the we might could set up a here, I'll in the background kind of open up a new project and throw in auto hand just to kind of show you guys how it is, because auto hand is my absolute favorite. um we'll see if it works, because everything's been broken because of the new update within the last month, or a couple months, I guess. So in the background on my computer, I'm spinning up a new Unity project that I'll throw auto hand into and kind of show you guys around. Do a video that shows how to do a game, like a super simple game that can run in 3D or VR. Well. Um, I did not take the simple thing, but um, if you did notice on my um, Unity Hub, there is this right here. So this is the XR project for XR Terra. So this is, how you spell it. XR Terra is the um, company that I teach for. So if you're interested in taking like a professional level, like, this is what I want to do for my career kind of class, then go to xrterra.com. And if you just like mention my name when you're applying, you can get like 30% off because I'm a teacher there. So, yippee. No, I don't want to open it. Dang it. Oh, now I have like three. Oh, no. I have like three Unity projects opening up. Also, I forget that I'm not sharing my screen still. So, yep. If you saw this down here, this I'm actually trying to recreate Call of Duty Zombies in VR, and then I'm going to make like a long, like 12-hour video about like, all right, start from like the very beginning all the way to now we have a working Call of Duty Zombies VR game, and so that's the project that I'm currently working on that I want to do, and this is not going to be simple. But it's gonna be super cool. So let me know what you think about that because I'm kind of excited for it. Also, I've learned a ton so far. Just like going through a huge project, but and also I'm like trying to figure out how much do I actually you know like how much do I engineer it and make it like enterprise and the code like look very nice, or do I just kind of hack and slash it and make it so that it's it works, it's functional, but it's like using a bunch of big mono behaviors and like whatnot. So I'm kind of like going back and forth, and that also kind of is like, do I want to release it like, and then like this is something a project like this is gonna take me a while to actually like build. Let's see, auto hand. I'm multitasking right now. Where are you? There you are. Update. You want to do a hack and slash? You want to kind of see my so like my plan right now is to build the whole game, just like build it up, make it so it's like playable and whatnot, and then I'll probably give it to all the Patreon the highest level like the Patreon like alpha game access supporters because I haven't had a thing for that tier yet. So I'll probably give the Call of Duty Zombies game to that like highest level Patreon tier. But then I want to, so I'll make the whole game and then have it playable, and then I'll go through and like piece it, um, like break it apart and actually like rebuild the game, but like actually teach the second time around and show you guys how to actually build it up. So I think that's going to be super super cool and super useful for all of y'all who actually want to do something like that. Still importing auto hand; it's taking forever. Do that, okay? Just because you said so. But yeah, like and then like once I get that first one out of the way, I may just like go crazy and be like, all right, we're gonna make Fruit Ninja in VR, and we're gonna do a bow and arrow game, and we're gonna do tons of other things. Let's see, we want physics quality to be very high. I know I'm not sharing. Hold on, I'm still in setup mode. If auto hand examples. All right, maybe I can share now. Yeah, Fruit Ninja VR is already a thing, but I would recreate it and be like, okay, this is how you actually make it in code, that kind of thing. Oh, wrong thing. Okay, scenes XR demo. Import text mesh pro. So this is auto hand. I don't know if I have a link to it down the description. I'm pretty sure I have a link to Hurricane VR, but not auto hand. Ooh, they added the kind of physics actions. Nice. let's play this really quick. So, auto hand, if you did not know, is a very nice asset. So if you're looking at like getting a package to use for your like your project and whatnot, auto hand is very, very nice. Let's oh, probably need to go into settings and project settings. Why did you start down here? Weird. Okay. Oh yeah, I still need to do things. Gonna make sure everything's set up correctly. No, you do not have to be on Patreon to actually. I'm gonna release. So I was torn between releasing, so like going through this Call of Duty game, or just other games in the future. And I think I'm to the point where like I don't really want to do. I will continue to do like little update videos. Like one of my next videos pretty soon is going to be how to actually eat in VR. So like you put like things up to your face and it like slowly gets eaten away. Because I've gotten so many requests for that. I don't know why. Like we've had that many. I've had a ton of requests for like how to eat in VR. So we're gonna do that soon. But I want to start making bigger projects instead of just these tiny little like how to do sockets and how to do like this. And I know these videos are helpful, so I'll keep doing them because like you're building your project and you're like, oh, how do I do sockets really quick? But I want to be able to make like a whole game and have it be like a 12-hour like video. Like it's gonna be a long video, but it's not gonna be meant for like you to sit there and watch it all the way through. It's gonna be like, okay, let me skip to the part where he's doing this and I can watch this and whatnot. And YouTube likes longer videos a lot more. So that's another thing. So I was torn between doing a super long video of like 12 hours or doing like part one, part two, part three, part four, part five. But I just get really annoyed when I like am going through like one of those like, several part long like videos. Like I would rather just have a long, like a huge video and just be able to like go through it at my pace. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. So that's probably Q1 next year, probably by hopefully by March. That's kind of what I'm like aiming for. I have to actually make the game first, and then I have to actually film at least 12 hours. So like probably 24 hours of filming. So like that's gonna be a big project, but I will absolutely. I'm gonna make it for free on YouTube. I don't want to do at least this first one. I'm not gonna make a Udemy course. I'm just gonna put it up for free. I might like put ads on it or whatever, but I want to because I keep saying this. Like I selfishly want more games, like to teach y'all how to make games, so I could play more VR games, and so like better, more like higher quality VR games will get out there. So that's kind of like my goal behind all of this stuff. So, oh no, my dog's sleeping on the cable. All right, let's see if this works. Nice. All right, so this is auto hand, and I'm gonna bring the mic out over here. So auto hand, I love because you get like a wavy kind of finger effect. Oh, also, oh, hold on. Let me switch to Oculus. Like he still doesn't have the offsets quite right for OpenXR. So I'm just gonna uncheck OpenXR and swap over to Oculus. Because the offset, like the hand offsets, are like this. So it's annoying when you have to grab things like upside down. So swap over to Oculus because I know he has the Oculus offsets correct. And I don't feel like manually going through and actually updating the offsets. So that's the spirit. I'll do it myself. Oh, I was not actually trying to throw shade at developers. It would be like This is me teaching indies how to actually make games. Okay, but here we go. So we have so open. This is auto hand, the auto hand asset, and it has like, but it's nice because you have procedural grab. So like, see how I'm grabbing this cube, and then like no matter how I grab it, the all the fingers will go to the correct spot. So and it's super nice. And then you have, oh, I'm just gonna smash into the mic here, but you have like access. You can like grab things. Also, you can two-handed grab things, which is very nice. And then everything's physics based in here, which is awesome. Absolutely love. And then so like hammer, I can like smash things. Oh, I'm trying to do the mic and eh. And then like there's normal gun interactions. Oh, got it. Like that. But yeah, it's a very nice asset, and um, like there's tons of stuff in here already that if you just want to get a project up and running quick, like this is the way to go. Is download an asset like this, like so auto hand or Hurricane VR. So here's a door that like is a door that's already built for you that you can just like throw in your scene or whatever. Um, a little tablet, see, like it's already set up, and then you can just like you know tons of stuff. Ooh, what is this? Interesting. And then now recently he's added movement, more like movement. Okay, is it physics based? Yes, it is physics based. So you can like throw yourself up too. Ah, yes, that's how I check to see if climbing is actually physics based. So if you grab and you throw yourself up and let go, you should continue to go up because the physics. Some things like VR Interaction Toolkit does not have physics-based climbing, so you can actually when you throw yourself up, the moment you let go, you instantly start falling to the ground. Um, so that's a good way, a good little way to check. But this is auto hand. Let me jump over to the asset store. So this is auto hand. So it is on sale right now, like 50% off, which is awesome, and highly recommend like something like this for if you want to get a game spun up, you don't feel like coding all of the physics and everything with your hands and whatnot. And you want to like actually work on your gameplay and whatever. So it's a little pricey for a asset, but it's also like I mean it's half off right now and is super helpful. Also the VR interaction framework is really good, and the Hurricane VR one. These are all really good assets, and they're all on sale right now. So um, take your pick. Just go and look. Um, if you click on the link down in the description, I think that's an affiliate link. I think that one goes to Hurricane VR, but if you buy anything off the asset store, it helps me out. So if you want to throw me some money, some cents, then that is the way to go. Oh, hi. Do you need attention? What time is it? Oh, it's almost 2. Let's what other questions do you have? Let's oh goodness, I'm getting attacked. Do you need to say hi again? Hello, this is Nova, for those of you who missed her. Oh, she's my 50-pound, 6 months old golden doodle. She's a baby and needs attention right now. All right, I'm gonna go through comments and try to answer some questions. I'm gonna hang out for 5-10 more minutes probably. All right, I have a character model following the XR origin, it works all right, except it takes camera rotations and puts them as movement. Huh. That might be one where you have to join the Discord and oh, she's being a rascal. She gets bored and starts jumping up on me. But she's a puppy, so we can't just like leave her out for long. She's out by herself right now. But um, I'm not gonna be too much longer. Let's see. Yeah, so if you have like specific questions where like you think you might need to post a screenshot, highly recommend joining the Discord. That's down in the description. And I think it's in the description. I'm pretty sure. I need to double check. But if it's not in the description, then it's in the description of every one of my other videos. So if you are interested in like, either hanging out with some cool VR people and watching more live streams and stuff and getting notified when that happens, hit the notification bell for sure, because I think YouTube's like noticed that it's like, hey, you're slacking, like not a ton of people have the notification bell. I've gotten like a message on my YouTube studio. So make sure you have the notification bell turned on too, or else that you won't get like notified every time that I post a video, which is kind of weird nowadays. But yes, if you have a dev question that may need a screenshot for your like question, highly recommend just joining the Discord channel. We have a whole, or Discord server, we have a whole channel dedicated to dev help, and just answering questions and asking questions and all that. So highly recommend joining there. And also if you're interested in like playing some VR games with me, join in there too, because we're gonna start up like playing some VR games every week, and it's gonna be super cool. I'm about to do a big overhaul to the Discord. It's gonna be fun. Let's see, what other questions you have? Will I create a virtual reality interaction framework tutorial? So one of the other frameworks, I want to do at least a setup video for each of them and like a review video for each of them, because they're all super helpful, and like it's helpful to like show people you don't actually need to spin up all of the stuff yourself. Like you don't need to code all of the interactions and whatever. You don't need to use Unity's kind of crappy interaction framework to do things. You could just buy a what's $30 right now and $60 usually asset, and have a full game. Like people say that that's expensive, but like that's literally like 1 hour of my work is cost $60. So if I could buy this and have all of these interactions for me, and it only cost me 1 hour of work versus trying to make all of them, and it takes me like several weeks or even months to like code up everything to that point, then that me coding everything is costing me more than just buying this $30-$60 asset. So I challenge you to try one out. Don't buy all three like I did and try to do all of them. Pick one and just play around with that, because you can't really intermingle them. So just watch the videos on them and figure out which one you want the most. I'm going to be posting reviews of them here shortly. Can you interact with UI using direct interactors? No, unfortunately not. And you cannot have a direct interactor on the same object as a ray interactor. So you have to have them as separate objects and kind of toggle back and forth between them. And it's very annoying. So you just like when you're looking at a UI, you need to like switch over to UI. So that's why we use a raycast. And I use raycast just in general because people just hate trying to bend down and pick things up off the floor. Like it's just not fun. Like if you've ever like had your floor like slightly out of sync and tried to pick up like something from Onward, like if you drop your syringe or your gun or a mag or something and you're trying to pick it up off the floor from Onward, but your floor is like just a little bit higher than the actual floor, and you can't get to it. And so that's why I use ray interactors. And I think that's something Boneworks got right. And like Boneworks was the first, let's be honest, Boneworks was the first real VR game. And it's going to be hard to the climbing is like the only thing that's a little weird, I think, in Boneworks. But everything else is it like that's the That's the standard. And Half-Life Alyx is pretty good up there too. Half-Life Alyx doesn't have all of the physics stuff. Boneworks is like the pure physics engine, which is super cool. But yeah, like so Boneworks, you can just like force pull things, and the Half-Life Alyx gravity guns or gravity flick thing, the gravity gloves, and like just make the game fun. Don't make people have to pick things up off the ground. That's annoying. But I mean, I get it. Onwards wanting to do a more realistic kind of experience, but at least give me like a foot of like reach to grab stuff. But that was a long way of saying just use ray interactors and just shorten them down if you want, because I just think they're so much easier. Thanks VR Beaver. I appreciate the love. And this video will be it's being recorded, so if you missed earlier stuff, then I'm gonna post it in as a VOD, so you guys can go back and watch it and whatnot. Any other questions or anything, y'all? This was nice. I'm gonna try to do this every weekend. Every weekend that I'm not out of town, we're doing something. So most weekends. If you enjoyed this kind of content, let me know. Just like leave a comment or like the video or join the Discord and hang out. Because I would love to do more like kind of live stuff, like more interactive kind of stuff. I'm still getting used to the. Sorry for those of you who are here at the very beginning and like I messed up and like had to make a new thing because I accidentally started early and like closed it and whatnot. I'm still learning the live streaming systems and whatnot, but we're gonna get there and it's gonna be fun. So I really appreciate all of y'all coming to hang out. We made like a full like a basic like game today. Not a game. We set up all the mechanics for a game today. But you could take this, and I think in the future videos we'll get a little more advanced, and maybe I'll even live stream some of the of me making the Call of Duty Zombies game once it looks nicer. Right now it's very white box. But I do have barricades working, which is super cool. Like instead of walking up to the barricade and like having to hold the button for it to like build itself, you actually have to pick the boards up and use sockets to like to build the barricades back up. So that's pretty fun. I'm working on zombie AIs next, but I will probably start live streaming some of that once I get like the core like game working a little bit, and I'm just kind of fine tuning stuff. I think that's when it's more interesting to actually watch, because I can actually talk about the bigger project at large instead of me like you guys just watching me figure out stuff for hours. And then I'll end up posting the whole like 12-hour this is how to make Call of Duty Zombies in VR from the ground up kind of video. So I think that'll be super cool and super useful for y'all. So look out for that in several months. It's not coming soon, but you get to see bits and pieces of it every now and then. But I appreciate y'all coming out. Before you leave, please like the video because that just helps me out. Gives me all the feel goods inside. Anyway, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for hanging out. If you want to continue to talk or if you have any dev questions, please join the Discord. There's a link in the description. And I'll see y'all next week.